Greetings to Mr. Nick.
And greetings to you. How you been, John?
Oh, I'm in better.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm personally good, but literally yesterday I was um, pacing the floor
Yeah.
and just in a state of rage all day long.
I feel you.
You too?
Yeah. Um, yeah. It was a tough weekend. I was at a my daughter's basketball tournament out of town and was not really tuning in to social media or media in general. But when I did, it really put a cloud over what would be an otherwise fun and enjoyable weekend celebrating and just enjoying the spirit of my daughter, team and performing and all of those things. But yeah, not yeah. I mean, obviously, I'll say it. As a nurse
I
who's
thought
worked
of you.
nurse who's worked ICU, as a nurse that works for the Veterans Affairs.
Yes.
There's so much that strikes close to home, and I've often thought about in my head if I were to be in a situation in my community where I witnessed something that I would step in and it's something my wife and kids like they don't it makes them anxious and nervous about me that I am the kind of person who will go and run towards help or to see something and take action because they they see that and it's like for kids it's scary and confusing and you don't understand what's happening but I see that and that is who I am the person who would run towards where help is needed. I just saw a lot of myself in Alex.
I thought of you.
Yeah,
There was the nurse thing, but there was also the sense of his overall emotional tone, so to speak. I thought, oh, that's Nickish.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure that I would run into the situation. I've been in tough situations like that, not with ice, but danger where I did run to the danger.
yeah.
Um, it's not your thinking function that takes over, but it's more of an instinct.
hmm When I was teen, but I observed somebody who I thought was a friend who had a bit of a chip on his shoulder. It was kind of a tough guy attitude persona. Um, but I wanted to gain his favor and befriend him, whatever reason. And he got into an altercation with another gal in my grade, my age, on the bus. And I just remember being so uncomfortable and frozen about what to intervene or what to do. And I told myself ever since that time that I would never be a bystander again because of the way it felt to not act, to not do something when you were in a
Right.
position to do something to help
Yeah.
another. Um, and so, yeah, I, um, I hate to, I like to say I wouldn't be in that situation, but, you know, not going to go seek it out. But if it happened in my community and I was there to bear witness, it would be really hard not to try to protect and help somebody else.
Yeah. Now, do you have a record of anybody watching us right now?
Um, I don't. I, I, it looks like we have one viewer. Um, I don't see anything in chat.
Well,
Yeah.
hello to the one viewer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So today, Nick, I am putting aside. I made a unilateral decision, but I just sensed that you would agree with me from
Hmm.
afar. Made a unilateral decision to put the Aramaic Jesus aside for a week, and just to sit here and talk amongst everybody, um, how everybody's feeling. It's just sort of a check-in.
Yeah.
And secondly, I do have some thoughts
Hmm.
to share that I've been watching good thinking people on YouTube for 36 hours, not nonstop, but um, you know, since I heard about the killing yesterday morning, I thought I'd share some of the ideas and see what else other people have. Have you been absorbing some of the YouTube thinkers?
No, I haven't. I haven't particularly been on YouTube a lot. Yeah, not really, not
You know
lately.
who Heather Richardson Cox is?
I don't. I'm gonna put a little mental note here.
Oh
Heather
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Richardson Cox, to look up
She's
to check
worth
her
your
out.
while. She's a great historian who interprets our times through um, the historical lens, and she shares that with, oh, I don't know, I think there's 50,000 viewers. She's out in Maine. She's very brilliant and worth your while.
Okay.
Heather Richardson Cox. Every time I see her initials, I think of Hillary Rodham Clinton, HRC.
Yeah.
Um, or is it Cox Richardson? Um, so HCR. I'm not quite sure, but anyway,
Yeah.
um,
Thanks for being
it's
here, Claire. We gotta just letting you know we gotta join. Tune in from Claire here. She's joined us too.
wonderful to hear from you, Claire. I had anxiety about whether or not you would get the proper link, etc. So it's good to have you. And Claire, we're sort of my idea today was that this wouldn't be so much teaching from me as sharing from us as a group with one another how we're feeling and what our reflections are in this time. And I'm going to lead off with a little bit of something from Heather Richardson Cox, which was a quote that she gave, which was um, the Trump American Democratic government is under siege by the Trump administration, who are attempting to replace the government with a fascistic state.
Hmm.
And democracy will not survive 3 years of this if it goes unchecked like this.
Right.
So I called Tammy Baldwin, my senator, Ron Johnson, my senator, and Glenn Grothman, my congressional representative. And as I was stating my opinion in harsh terms, and I sent a email to first to J.D. Vance and then to Donald Trump. I felt in all four situations like I had a wet noodle and I was beating a dead horse with it. You
Yeah.
know, got it. I felt like I had to do it
Yeah.
because the more of us who show up, as many ways as possible, the better. But I also just felt like Tammy Baldwin's liberalism is baked in. Glenn Grothman and Ron Johnson's conservatism is baked in. They're not,
Hmm.
none of the three are going to be in any way impacted by what I say. Same with
Yeah.
J.D. Vance and, of course, Donald Trump. But I still had to do it. And I said, the democracy will not survive another 3 years if this does not go unchecked.
Yeah.
They're abrogating constitutional rights all over the place. Um, Therefore, Christy Nome must be impeached and removed from office. Donald Trump must be impeached and removed from office.
Yeah.
These killers, both Jonathan Ross and this new guy, Gavin somebody, I think his name is Gavin,
Hmm.
need to be arrested.
Yeah.
You know, brought to brought to justice. I don't believe in capital punishment or anything like that. I'm not
Right.
advocating, but you know, arrested and sentenced.
Yeah. I've seen some references to, you know, I mean, we're looking at a future where hopefully there are better days. Um, and that there are trials that take place when we hopefully have a point of control of our government again, and a justice system that serves the people. So, I mean, I don't know what that looks like in however many years from now, but um, yeah, America's got to keep record, keep tabs on these. I would say war crimes, but they're just humanitarian crimes. Yeah, crimes against humanity. Yeah,
How are you feeling over there, Claire?
yeah,
It's good to have you in the chat with us. Sounds like a good and
yeah,
soulfully necessary thing to spend time with today, dears. Good.
yeah,
That's how I feel too.
yeah. It's just it's really weighing heavy. I think on a lot of folks. You know, Renee, Alex, other people who have been victims. I just, I don't know. I just don't know where at this point where it stops, where it ends, and what that looks like. And I'm fearful for um, a breaking point. What is it going to look like when enough people say it's enough and it's gone too far? How far beyond what most of us are comfortable with will things go? So,
Right?
um, Claire said
Sad
she's
mostly, but
okay.
what
Sad
I do wonder is
mostly.
whether this is what democracy looks like at times. Ah,
Yeah. Right.
good question.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I think that what we're missing in general is, and I think this is where the leadership that I'm noticing we're missing is the ability to tamp down hateful rhetoric and to lower the temperature of things. Um, and I don't, and to your point, I just don't see there being leadership. And then those whom we know are are very charismatic or who have followers, um, their efforts to do such to tamp down and to lower the temperature, they're not reaching the opposite side of society and culture to encourage it. Um, yeah,
Are you with us, Corey or Kathy?
yeah, we got
Oh,
so Claire
here's
says that
Claire.
I do
I
like
do
that
like
it's the
this, the mayors and
mayor's.
governors and the people on the ground who are making a difference.
Yeah,
Yes, that's a
yeah,
good observation. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I do
yeah.
too,
I
as
do.
you mentioned it. Tim
Uh,
Walls is wonderful.
it's also at the same time hard because there's so much ego and pride involved in the authoritarian regime that they will just meet the sensibilities and um, the advocacy of the mayors and governors with more threats. Whether it be holding their state hostage with threats of more force, more presence. Um, and you know what? As I was thinking about this targeting of Minnesota and Minneapolis in particular, it got me really frustrated because I think about, and I don't have numbers or statistics, but if I think about areas of our country where you are more likely to find people who are undocumented, not going through proper channels for legal immigration, citizenship, and etc. It's not a Somali group in the middle of Minnesota, because we all know they're there. We all know that they came through an asylum program and they're working through the immigration process. And yet, if I think about states where there's more likely to be truly illegal, potentially bad actors who aren't going through proper channels, we're looking at red states, Texas, Florida, Arizona. Um, and yet we don't see or hear about targeting potential illegal immigrants in those areas. It's the middle of a pocket of democratic resistance to the authoritarians, attempt at status quo. Um, and that to me is just telling it. It's this is. I mean, you keep hearing it, or we hear people say it. This is not about the potentially um, illegal immigrants in a community in middle of Minnesota. So
Right.
yeah,
It's about uh, crushing the will of people who resist.
yeah, or just and honestly, just the opposing party. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how petty it is.
Yeah.
I mean, and it is not a. I mean, anybody with half a half a mind is knows that you don't alienate a party of opposing thinkers to the point of you're going to eliminate that. Like this persistence is almost as though we must eradicate this way of thinking rather than integrate multiple viewpoints, and this is just a recipe for failure on their part, on the part of the authoritarian regime. Yeah,
Tale as old as time. That's
yeah,
what they try to do. The
right.
authoritarians. That's what they can't do. So this whole tarting of is just a ruse. Yes, just a ruse for a land grab. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And repression.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's.
I mean,
I think it's a ruse.
and I hear people saying it's also to destabilize these pockets of strategic political weight. When you think about your state, Wisconsin, and Minnesota, where they sort of are positioned in terms of elections, um, battleground states. Um, you can changing the poll in those areas to potentially destabilize elections in the future because of civil unrest. Um, yeah. Ooh. So I wanna dig into this. This is a comment from Claire as well. On a deep psychological level, it may be for
Oh,
othering their own internal strife. Um, it's hard,
yes.
well,
Thank you.
on chat to explain, but I want to understand what is meant by othering. Um, I, I, I think I understand the message there. Um, what are your thoughts?
I've got these terrible feelings of strife inside of me. So it's those people out there. You know,
Yeah. Okay. I follow you.
yeah, it's the projection of the shadow.
Right. Right. Yeah. Rather than dealing what it is that troubles me in my life from an internal agency sort of perspective, it is the fault of other influences.
So now here's what I wanted
Mm.
to share today
Yeah.
from Heather Cox Richardson. She said something that got my mind spinning.
Okay.
She said, and this was before the killing. She was just talking about the insanity of ICE and the Trump regime, the fascist regime is coming down on us all. Um, and the killing of Alex Preti was a exclamation point for that. But before then, she said, let's all figure out what we're really, really good at and do that really, really well.
Mm.
So that put me into a reflective point of view. And I thought my assignment for um, these new times is to do this podcast,
Yeah.
is to, I'm working, and I'd like to thank Claire for your generosity in the donation. I don't know if you'd like me to say, call out your name as a person that donated, but I appreciate that. And I apologize if you didn't like it. Um, Donations uh, for a permaculture center in Africa.
Hmm.
Um, in February, I'll be come February, or is it March? Early March, I'll be helping people who are helping the bereaved, and themselves are getting depressed, and they're getting, they call it secondhand trauma,
Mm.
and moral injury is another way of
Yeah.
describing what people are struggling with, and I'll be supporting them. Um, and then um, I've decided to be at peace with those two activities in the world. I'd like to also be involved with a group I used to be involved with. It was just called Street Angels. It's working with the
Oh yeah.
homeless.
I think I remember you talking about that before.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And since Christmas, I've just been going so deeply into the Zen thing.
Okay.
Not the cliche Zen, like the Zen of drinking tea, but the real, um, fully invested, radically committed Zen growth for myself.
Yeah.
Because that makes me a better person in all regards, in my dealings with life, in the way that I walk around, in the
Hmm.
way that I grocery shop. And so I've been doing that. I just decided it's what Zen does is answers the other things are answering what am I doing, and the Zen practice is who am I? What am I doing,
Yeah.
and who am I?
Absolutely.
But that's just my answer for the
Yeah.
situation. Each person has their different contribution,
Yeah.
and I applauded people last time we were on. Claire, wonderful person, very, very bright, kind of a light in this world. Also is writing a book about spiritual homecoming. I think that's a spiritual slash emotional. I hope I'm
Hmm.
not misrepresenting it, Claire. You'll correct me. Um, but I look forward to reading that. It's a great contribution. Corey has similar to what Thomas Merton said about the energy we bring to our activism must be peaceful.
Mm.
Yeah. Thank you, Thomas Merton.
Energy we bring to our activism must be peaceful. Yeah.
Yeah, because I have an acquaintance, Claire encountered him this week in conversation. I observed it. Who doesn't have a peaceful approach?
Mm.
It's not going to get us anywhere.
Yeah.
Black Panthers that
Oh,
I've attended to are like, don't be violent. That just creates more sticky.
yeah.
Uh, be nonviolent, and I am fully agreement. Um, Corey, if you guys haven't, check out Black Raven Meditation sometime. She
Hmm.
has this quiet little contribution to the world. And it's only like 5 to 10 minutes
Okay.
most days, and she reads.
Hmm.
It's the Tao 365. It's a book,
Okay.
Taoism,
Yeah.
and some other things too. She just reads it into the camera, and that's it. I think of it as a really wonderful contribution.
Yeah.
Um, and then our other viewer, Kathy, you know, she can't say, well, I'm writing a book or I'm doing a podcast, but all she's doing is she's a wonderful mother, a
Hmm.
wonderful grandmother, and a wonderful sister. I've seen her in action.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
important contributions, all.
Yeah. I thought about that contributions, and yeah, that's hard. Um, I mean, yes, there's definitely elements of activism, and I think about obviously participating in this podcast and really bringing um, at least encouraging insight, self-reflection, questioning what we see and experience these days. And then I think about, yes, how I carry myself with regard to where I work, and whom I work with, and what the setting of this city and the mix of perspectives that may not be aligned with my more progressive liberal. And on the one hand, I won't go out and really browbeat anybody in my community, or soapbox or anything. But I do make it clear that we are friends, we are colleagues, we are acquaintances, whatever. I don't hide it, and I will sometimes come out in the open and just be like, "Well, yeah, even I lean pretty liberal, progressive here as I'm wearing my rainbow lanyard that says VA serves all veterans." Um, it's just those little things, those cues that say, "Look, I may not be in alignment with the side you're choosing at this time, but normalizing my view and perspective is important enough to not hide in the shadow of it or be ashamed of it, because I think now more than ever, um, I, I I find that I wear my liberal progressive views with a bit more honor. Whereas there might be times in the past where I would just skirt and keep a low profile so as not to stir conflict. But now it's more to normalize that we all live and share and or have a lot of common interests in community or work or friendship that goes back decades. Um, and you can have your view and I can have mine, but that's the world we should be living in, is where the peace we all have in our communities is the peace that we should be seeing as a nation, and as a world, right? Um, so I think it's important to do that and to reflect that. Um, the Some of Us, love that. Let me show that. That's Claire. Nick, you're reminding me of Heather McGee's book, The Sum of Us: What Racism Costs Everyone and How We Can Prosper Together. Absolutely. I'll have to check that out. Um, but yeah, I think it's just important, because it's going to be enough people not preaching, not shaming, not, whatever, coming out and saying, here's where here's the civil rights, here's the human rights that I align with, and it's enough so that I'm not gonna just keep it hidden where I stand on this issue. And I think when the scale tips to enough where we become the dominant viewpoint, and others will say, okay, yeah, now that you know, I'm not going to hide in my closet as this, ignorant bigot person, because that's socially unacceptable. I'm going to explore this other view. But I think the language that we see through social media and everything else is very inflammatory. And so to get the people who are doubling down on this team, this side that they've chosen, who may be on the fence, um, at some point they have to pick, what human rights they're willing to just ignore, and come out in the open in support of the right thing. Because I genuinely do think more of America is unhappy with the harm that's being done.
I
But
do too.
there's
The
but there's so
approval
myriad.
rating of the orange one is down to 34%.
But it takes a lot to swallow your pride and say, yeah, I picked the wrong horse.
It
you know,
does.
yeah. Okay, yeah. So Claire, I wish I had your patience to share this with my father, who fell to Fox News ignorant bigotry. Yeah.
He did?
Oh, geez. Yeah. But I will say I've seen some things even lately coming out from Fox that are really challenging the the narrative. I think there's some, I've seen some evidence of them asking the right questions that shows, implies
Yeah,
a
a little bit.
concern for
They're
what's
breaking.
a concern for the way things are being handled. Um, that they could do better, but um, I realize they're trying not to disrupt their base, but I do see some undertones of them, asking hard questions to the people who are wanting to spin or create a narrative that is hard to refute. Yeah.
Yeah. I
But,
know that first, two things I want to say. First off, I've ordered bumper stickers.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I came up with a phrase yesterday, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna put that on a bumper sticker and make it available to friends and family. We are all Renee and Alex.
Yeah.
Just a simple message out in the street, and then of course, what if ICE sees it and pulls me over? Uh,
Mm,
but it's just to have a reminder out there in the world.
yeah.
Secondly, I had this experience where uh, I was starting to interact with some MAGA people who were saying that they loved the fact that the paid protester was shot and killed in Minnesota. And I was seeing um, double with rage. I had smoke coming out of my ears. And I started putting some inflammatory language up in
Mm,
response.
yeah.
And before I pressed send, I thought, what if I've got now have two grandchildren who I'm Facebook friends with. What if they read this? You know,
Yeah.
my reaction. Uh, I decided to unload it a little bit. For instance, I said, "Fuck you, Nazi."
Right.
You know, and I decided to delete Nazi, and instead I said, "That's the Nazi point of view, of course." Sent it.
Mm,
I felt like it was still um, and strong enough, but not backing down. But then I added more. I said things like, "I care deeply about the taking of a human life,
yeah.
And I feel that the Trump regime is attempting to overturn love that
Mhm.
we are all Renee and Alex. All. Oh my goodness, that's
Yeah,
good. Oh man, I need to put that in the second batch. All good and pretty. That's good. Thank you. Um,
yeah,
where was I? I decided to work on having a tone of voice which continues to be strong but isn't um, just succumbing to the lowest energy.
uh, yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
there we
That's interesting. Just brief moment talk. Let's talk about those. I mean, because we are in a social media platform, whether we like it or not. But you know, the social media comment section back and forth battles. Um, I just have rarely seen. I've seen a very few, but occasional examples of someone being like, "You're right. Oh yeah, I didn't realize that. Thank you for helping me
go.
understand." Um,
You've seen
rare.
that happen.
That's a rare occurrence. But more than anything, the first person who starts using inflammatory language, it doesn't matter what side you are, it immediately becomes the attacking point of the other person or other side because you stoop to that. Oh, no, you're going to call names and you can't even articulate. You're using vulgar language and is that the best you got kind of thing. Or it paint or they use it to say look what a low life you are and therefore everybody with your perspective is. um, and it gets I see it go both ways. And it's like that's not that's not going to get us to a point of mutual respect and understanding. Agreement, I think, will never happen, but mutual respect and understanding for one another can definitely happen, and we can lower the temperature in our country with that. But yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna have. I heard this is off the topic. Very good point, Nick. I don't mean to be changing the subject, but um, we're
no
at the
worries.
point of getting so overheated that it's not an exaggeration that it feels like civil war is going to break out, especially when you have the police and the National Guard in Minnesota squaring off against ICE.
Yeah,
Could become a showdown here very soon, like today.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that does come to mind, and I thought about the National Guard, and I think about it like, okay, if I were a member of the military, the National Guard, or my local law enforcement or agency, I mean, I have good friends and members of my community who are police officers and in leadership roles with our local police force, and um, I have no doubt in my mind that they must feel conflicted if they were called to a scene where they don't want to contradict or work against federal officers because of the challenge of that, but at the same time be to serve and protect. They're out here to serve and protect these members of our community. Um, and same thing for the National Guard. It's like, no, I'm here to make sure that no harm that is not necessary is comes to our citizens. This idea, this whole, you're okay with some collateral damage is no. No respecting agency which is there to consider themselves a law enforcement agency should ever have a position of, collateral damage is okay.
Oh, 100%.
So, yeah, I think those who stand up for the community at large to protect them, to ensure that their public safety is their number one concern, um, can't reasonably stand by and allow someone to be dragged to the ground and beaten and, you know, executed.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, but
very good. I have a
but you're right. You know, what do? They send more forces, and the next thing you know, you have a standoff between a federal immigration customs enforcement against a state national guard. I mean, what a un. It's just unfortunate for all to be in the middle of that.
It's on
You know, we
Trump's
all
door.
are. Yeah.
It's on
What's that?
Trump's doorstep. He's responsible for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no question. But he and the ever charming Stephen Miller.
Yeah.
Well, um, I have a meditation
Oh, good.
in
I'm
mind
I'm
for.
in need of it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
me too. Me too. How about you, Claire?
This might be my most roller coaster of emotion podcast we've done yet. I think I started off tearful, holding back crying, to being, you know, kind of outraged, to now like let's find some zen. Yeah.
I am feeling so. It's strange. I talked about how yesterday I was pacing and wanted to scream and just wanted to punch the air.
Mm.
But at the same time as that, I'm also having hours a day in which I'm at deep peace, you know, and especially during meditation. Oh, I heard a metaphor today. Um, uh, Meditating is like pulling into a train station. Most definitely, John. Time for meditation. S'il vous plaît. So, oh, s'il vous plaît. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just saw that. Okay, good. Meditation is like a train station. The trains are, you know, in the rugged terrain of the Swiss Alps. You know, it's struggling and has challenges and the weather is bad, and then it pulls into the station. It gets recalibrated, gets dried off, cooled off,
Mm.
balanced on its wheels again, you know, etc. And a fresh new batch of firewood for the engine, and goes back out. And meditation can have that role. Oh, it's just being so powerful for me of late.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll do this. I have one in particular in mind. I've never done this one before, but it's just I'll say what's on my mind and we'll get into it. So what we're gonna do now is close our eyes halfway to all the way. Only if you want to, and then you can also put your hand on your heart. I do this. Both hands on the heart. Tongue on the top of the mouth towards the front. So it's kind of tip of your tongue is kind of behind your teeth. And a healing breath where you breathe in and exhale. And try to make that breath like a very smooth snake of air. You're not just, you know, kind of, but you're sort of, you're not gulping, but it's kind of a sinewy, elegant movement of air into you. You hold it for a second and then you exhale. So let's do it. And out. We'll do that again 2 more times. All right. Now, the meditation today is on our universal connectedness. All the people that you see on television in those fateful videos, you don't have to go there with the ice people if you don't want to, but you can if you also want to. Just think of each person that you see on those videos, those beautiful 30,000 people protesting, the tragic videos of the killings, the people shouting in grief immediately after. Every single one of us has a light inside of us, our inherent Buddha nature. You can envision, if you've seen pictures of the demonstrations, the crowds in Minnesota, or if you've watched the hideous videos, just think of each person that you see, including our good friends Renee and Alex, even though they've been killed, still radiating that inherent Buddha nature, a light inside of them. As you breathe, just envision our connectedness via this light, which is individual and yet collective. We're united in this. What is inherent Buddha nature? It means original innocence. Innate playfulness. Innate warmth. Innate humor and wisdom. Playfulness, innocence, warmth, humor, and goodness. The entire crowd, all of us. We are braving 15 degrees below zero weather out there on the streets of Minneapolis in order to testify to that, in order to activate that. It's stronger than the darkness. There's more of us than there are of people who are overcome by the darkness. I will be quiet now. I'll just let you two and whoever else is listening settle in just for a couple minutes just to be with these images that I've stated. united by our inherent Buddha nature, our inner light, innocence and wisdom, humor and playfulness, warmth. It's not just light, it's not just auditory, but it's also sound. If you want, you can think of Beethoven's Ninth, that concluding chorus. That's our nature shared. The scent is richly fragrant. Insert your favorite fragrance here. I'll go with pine. We love each other. We love Renee. We love Alex. We love Renee's kids and her wife. We love Alex's family. He had a dog that died about a year ago. We love that dog. Okay, and so now we'll conclude for now. You can go back to this on your own, listen to this again, like and share, and carry it with you. Maybe listen to Beethoven's Ninth or Cat Stevens' Peace Train. Amen.
Whew.
I love your reaction, Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's 24? I wish our politicians would speak more in this tone and go a long way to healing our shared nature. The basic human qualities of warmth, playfulness, innocence, humor, and goodness. Amen.
Yeah.
I do too.
I agree. You know, it is. It doesn't really matter what your beliefs are. If you follow the Buddha, um, Christianity, whatever it may be, that is that practice that holding space for this idea of our universal connectedness. I noticed it really brought me. I found myself in a visual space of meeting people with a smile and a hug, and and that being directed towards my wife and kids as much as the the ICE agent who is not able to publicly share and display probably some remorse and torment that they may be feeling because they took a life.
Right.
And that is the human side that I have to believe is there, that we will never see.
Was the last sentence there, Nick?
Oh, I said I have to believe that in the humanity of those people, those individuals who were involved in those shootings, um, that I don't think they sleep well at night.
Oh.
that I I don't know how you go through that and not be troubled and haunted by it, even if you have been told you're justified, that you're, you know, that ever you got the backing of your dear leader and your agency or anything. But I just found myself in that moment, in that exercise, seeing them go home, pet their dog, talk to their spouse, whatever, and carry that and realize that they probably needed a hug. Yeah.
It's the truth.
An
But it,
awful, awful social experiment that's being played on all of us.
yeah.
Yeah. But it did, like I said, the universal connection. It did bring that awareness and that willingness to greet everybody with a warmth that is a smile and a hug. Yeah. We got another comment here. I wanted to add this from Heather Cox Richardson's post yesterday. After Alex Pretty's death, the son of a man Pretty had cared for. Oh yeah, I did read about you know, and John, you and I have talked about this in the past with your line of work, um, and you know, as a nurse with critically ill, intensive care patients who are at end of life choices. You know, there's this death doula. We've talked about that term,
Oh yeah.
and there was so much recognition from the families of the patients he's cared for, that showed what kind of person we lost. That yeah,
Thank you, Claire. We do indeed. May we never forget and always remember our brothers and sisters who have served so that we may enjoy it. Yes.
yeah.
And there's a beautiful clip of Alex. I don't know if you guys saw this. His son, I guess he had a son, took a video of it on his phone, and so it's from the um, pretty
Oh, the
son.
patient's son at the time of their
Oh, it's the
loved one's
patient's
passing.
son.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, the little ceremony.
yeah, yeah,
It's beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah. So Claire, if you haven't seen
yeah.
it, that's something for you to check out. Today, remember that freedom is not free. We have to work at it, nurture it, protect it, and even sacrifice for it. Yes.
Yeah, that was part of the quotes she was referring to from Heather Richards. Heather, say this right. Heather Cox Richardson. There we go.
Yes.
Get that out. Um, yeah,
We really do. It's something that somebody else was talking about, the rule of law.
mm,
That we all kind of think that it's kind of like gravity, that it's just going to be there. But no.
right. No, we need advocates and we need heroes and we need strong people who, you know, do the right thing.
So
Yeah,
I have anxiety about where we're going to go as a country, but I also take great comfort in knowing that I can do what I can do,
yeah,
you know, and that there's a lot of good people out here
yeah,
who don't want to be overcome by this darkness, by this vicious fascist state.
yeah.
All right. Well, it's 4 o'clock my time, 2 o'clock yours.
And
Claire, it's good to have you.
and
You being here.
right on cue from our participant and our friend joining us today, Claire. Yes, many thanks to all of you,
If
everybody.
you're a person
Um,
watching this on delay,
yeah,
Bless you as well.
Be in peace.
Yeah,
And we will see you all next time. Thank you.
absolutely.